Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you all the new upgrades to the Music Bingo or Mingo program. I'll also be showing you how to update it or install it if you haven't installed it yet. Uh, we added some great features I think you guys are going to like, so I'm going to jump right into it and show you guys how to do this. So I am on the Elite Interactive website right here, and to grab the new program, you just go over to Software and click on the suite here, and that'll get you the download for the installer. And once you run the installer and get that all done, it'll be, well, you'd run it. Actually, I'll show you that here in a second. No, actually, that's just the whole thing. So we're just going to grab the installer. It is done. All right, so before you install, there's a couple options. It depends on how much backed up or safe you want to be. If you want to back up your old version of the program, it's right here. This is in your program files, x86 and then EISuite 1.9. So you don't have to get rid of this if you don't want to. But what you could do is you could just rename it and then you do like a dash old or something like that. Yep. And then you can go into your downloads and run the installer. And looks like Microsoft is upset with this, but yeah, you can bypass that and install it. They're getting more and more upset about everything you try to do that's not their stuff. But I assure you it is safe. If you're watching this, you're probably using it already. So go through the installer, and once that is installed, we can finish here and go right back to where we were, and now you'll see that folder's there again. Now if you didn't do this with the old thing, it would just rewrite this, and that's perfectly fine. There won't be any problems there. But if you want to be super safe, you can do the old thing, and then if anything happened, you can just go in here and then relink to this and run the program as you have been. Otherwise, once this is done, your normal links to the program should link over to this one instead due to the address. So if not, just make a link here and put it on your taskbar or wherever you want. Otherwise, I will just run it straight from the folder here. Alrighty, once in here, do anything you need to do to log in, and we'll go into Mingo and into the play. And you may notice that things look a little different up here. I got an extra tab if I remember correctly. It's been a little while since I've been working on this so much I forget, what version you guys are using. But I will run through some of these options and what we got going on. So I'm just going to check. Yeah, we got our normal bingos here. I'm going to go into the controls, and this will look quite a bit different. There's some stuff missing. You'll see where that went. It actually got moved over here and stuff. So the include song number. But that's for the, this section also has some upgrades and it's for the, the visual stuff. So in the Mingo controls, we still have our, check, to make sure the last song was the winning one. You can always use that. That hasn't changed. But now we have this greatly reduced chance for multiple winners. And if you check this, then you get a whole set of options over here. And what's going on over here is that we're giving you guys a little bit more work to do. So let's say you printed, all your cards out and you have a show or whatever, and you have 40 people there and you're using cards 1 through 40. This is a pretty standard procedure. You can just come up here, do card 1, and then to card 40, because those are the ones that are out in the crowd, and then be sure to hit this submit button right here, and then you'll see this green light come up. That green light is very important for any cards that you want to be in play or that are in play. You want to make sure that green light. So if you come in and if you change it, you see that green light goes away until you submit it again. You can do this with two ranges. Let's say you're always printing 1 through 200 and you just keep cycling through them. I thought of that too. So say you're at the end of your cycle and you're using 190 to 200 and then you start it over at card 1 and you're going to card 30 or something along those lines. You can do that. This will work just as well. Now there is a limit to this. And I'll explain that in a moment, but the limit is a total of 300 cards. I personally have never broken more than around 2, I believe. 200 cards at our shows, but I did set a limit to 300 cards in here, and the reason for that is the way that this functions. It's going to be scanning through all these cards, and if it's a crazy amount of cards, it could take a long time. So I limited it to 300. I don't think that's going to be a problem for anybody, but I just wanted to mention that here. For now, we're just going to clear this out, and if you do that, and let's say if I hit submit, it's going to see that it wasn't correct, so it's just going to clear that out, which is fine. And then we're also going to just do the same thing here. I'm just going to go like that, and then you'll see you get a little error over here, incorrect card range. I'm just going to go back to what we were doing here. This will be the most common thing that people do. It doesn't have to be one. It can be, you can start anywhere and end anywhere. Obviously, this one has to be lower than this one. But once you got this set up, you're good to go. Now, what this does is when you load the round, when you select the playlist that you're gonna use, it will randomize the playlist, and then the program's actually going to go behind the scenes. It's going to go back and check for the first winner. It's going to scan through all the cards that you have in play, and using the songs that it's randomized. It's going to go through each song and then check to make sure that whether there's a bingo or not after that. And it looks like I got a little error here I got to fix. All right, nice to see. But once it does that, it's going to scan for the first bingo. Once it finds it, it's going to check, is there any other bingos in that group for that song? If there is, that's a double bingo. We don't want that. So it's going to kick the whole thing back over to the randomizer and start over again. It's going to re-randomize it and then start scanning it again. Now, that's the way it was set up when I first did the first iteration of this, and it was working okay. But we still had some problems where the first person that was supposed to win may have missed their bingo. They didn't see it, and then if it goes past that person, then it's right back into randomness and no control whatsoever. So you could have triple or quadruple bingos or whatever. So I actually went in and I added a secondary individual winner. So not only does it scan for the first individual winner, it goes past that and scans for a second individual winner. And if it has any problems finding two individual winners like that, it kicks it all back over to the randomizer. So as you can imagine, it's scanning through all these cards. That can take a little while. I did do some tests on this, and I set the range from 1 to 300, so I maxed it out. And then I did a coverall, because the amount of information that it has to scan through and the number of songs it has to go through to get through the coverall is much larger. So I did a coverall and then I ran it. And usually on my system, it took about 3 seconds to load each round. And that's to find and make sure that we're not doing multiple bingos and stuff. And then as long as it's good, then it loads it up into your playlist there. The longest it ever took, one time it took a little over 7 seconds. So just keep that in mind. If you hit the next playlist, or you load a list and it's just sitting there, it doesn't appear to be doing anything. It's doing stuff. It's just figuring that out for you, and then once it's ready, it'll dump that list, and you'll be ready to go. So we're going to show you some of that here. Also, let's say we're on game 2 or 3 or whatever, and you had a table of 5 people or whatever that left, and usually they'd have sequential cards because you hand them out in groups, but it doesn't really matter. So let's just say player number 10 left, and you would add them, and then player 11, or 11 left, and add, let's say just these 3 people all left. So we take their cards out of this scan. So if the thing that's looking for that first bingo, if it finds it on one of these cards, it would still have been including it in this range. So we exclude those cards as people leave down here. And then for sometimes, if somebody comes back or you made a mistake, or you like rehand out the cards that have been turned into you, you can just come right back over and then just remove them from the exclusion list as well. Or you can just clear them all. Usually the clear alls for like at the beginning when you fire up the game and all this stuff is still piled in here from the previous night's show or whatever. You can just clear it all, but that'll work at any time as well. So yeah, this just takes the cards out of this list, and if you try to put one in there that's outside the range, it gives you a little error. It doesn't let you do it. There's a way around that, but that's not important. It shouldn't really actually happen. So yeah, that's how that all works. Yeah, there is some more stuff I want to show you, but first I want to show you another little thing I added. I've never wanted my software to be used to be able to cheat at all, or have a predetermined winner or anything like that. So I've always been very careful about that. But as you can see here on the screen, we have this detected winner. And what this is, it's not a card number. It's actually the number of songs into the game that it detects a winner. So, for example, I'll show you. We have 1 through 40, playing here tonight, and then we do our folder. Also, keep in mind that because of this, you always want to have your patterns properly selected and all your card information properly put in here before you load a round. So if something happens, like you get started and like, oh, we handed out 40 cards and we're about to play, so I'm just going to load the round up, and you see, okay, we're all loaded up. The first person's going to win on song 14. That's where it finds it. So song 14 down here, Fallen Angel, on this list, that's the winning song. That's the first one that it detected. That secondary one I was talking about, it doesn't give you that information. I didn't want to clutter up the screen. It's not really important, but you should have no bingos before this. Since I've been testing it, I've never seen a single legitimate bingo that was called before this. Uh, the way I wrote the program, I don't think it's possible. So uh, yeah, you should expect somebody to call bingo at number 14. This also helps. It doesn't tell you who it is, but it tells you, when to be expecting it. So that can be very helpful if you're trying to run a show by yourself or whatnot. So let's, for example, say that we just loaded this roundup and now 5 more people just came into the show. We want to come over here immediately. We just handed out 5 more cards, so we're up to card 45. That's how many we have out. So I'm going to resubmit that. Now the problem here is those 5 cards that we just added weren't taken into consideration when it was checking for that first bingo in this list. So we'd want to, you know, uh, select a different list and then come back to the list that you want to play. And now we're okay, 15 songs in, and it's been reloaded, but now it has included these. So you always want to put this information in or take out, cards over here and stuff like that. You always want to do that prior to loading the round that you're about to play. So this is, like I said, it's going to be a little bit more work for you. So if you're in the middle of a round, there's not much you can do if somebody comes in after you push, start. So you just, let them play. The chances of them winning are slim, and it's even slimmer that they're gonna bingo at the same time. But that does open that up because the system's not paying attention to the cards that you're handing out in the middle of the game. But I usually, you can change this information because it only affects when you load the round. So as people are coming in, even if the game is in the middle of playing, I'll just come up here and, oh, 5 more people came in. So now the next time when I load a round, I don't have to worry. I just check quick. Okay, yeah, we're at that card, and then it's fine, and it takes all those cards into consideration. Same thing with people leaving. If people, we now encourage everybody to hand their cards into us when they leave, so then we can come in here and like, oh yeah, that person left, and I do that in the middle of the game as they hand them in as much as I possibly can. But you always want to make sure that you get all this stuff done before you load the next round, so then the system can take the proper cards into consideration. Now, the other thing I want to show you is some cool little additions I've made, and that is over here. So as you see the screen now, if you were to play Music Bingo, matter of fact, let's just do it here. We're going to start this up and pause quick. Um, I'm pretty sure I shut the sound off for this, but hopefully you didn't hear that. I don't want YouTube mad at me. But you can see the Alive and Kicking. That's the title of the song. This information is being pulled from the metadata of the file. That's the specific property detail, the details in the property settings of the file that is playing from. So there's only 2 that should be left over after you clean the files, and that's essentially the artist and the title, as well as the number system. But that's irrelevant. So as you can see, it's just showing the title here, and that's where these settings come in. So just keep in mind this title comes from the metadata, and then if I use this here, this full file name, this is going to come from, oh yeah, this will be quick. So this will come from the actual file name in your folder system. So the cool part about that is this is an opportunity to potentially do like a name that tune. So we generally don't do that at our shows, but if you wanted to, you could name the file like a hint for the people viewing, and that's what would come up on the screen. So that's where this comes in. You could literally just put like some type of hint on there about, if you're going to do name this tune, and that's what would come up on the screen. And it goes by the actual file name, the physical file name, instead of the metadata that's inside of it. So that's what this one does here. As a matter of fact, I'll just let this play 1 second. Hopefully you can't hear this. And then it goes to our logo. And now, as you can see, this is the actual name. This is how we name our files. This is the artist, a space, a dash, and then the title. Um, and then that's also the two pieces that are broken up for the metadata. However, um, you'll see that when I click this other one, it'll remove this check because you can't do more than one at once. But you can uncheck these, because if you uncheck it, then it's just the title of the song. So if you want to show the artist in the title, and then this is the file name, even though it's the artist in the title, it's just the file name. This is just how we have it named. But if you want to show the artist in the title from the metadata, you can choose this. And with this option, we added some color editing, and I'll probably eventually add that to the other options as well. But in here, you can change the artist in the title, because we were having people that were having trouble, seeing which was which up on the screen. So this makes it, it gives it a bit of a separation, so they can tell what part of the song that they're looking at, or what part that they're looking at on their card, the title of the song, and that'll be in a different color, so they can pretty much ignore the blue, but that information's still up there if you want to use it. So you'll see what this looks like. And again, hopefully you can't hear this. I'm just going to play through this song quick. And there we go. That's what they would see up on their screen. So, hey guys, I just thought about throwing a quick edit in here. I realized after reviewing the prior video that I forgot to actually demonstrate the changing of these colors. So I'm going to play this song quick. And obviously you can see the color there, and you can do this on the fly in the game as much as you want. You can just open this up. It'll give you these multiple options on how you want to find your color and stuff like that. This, the big board here is the best one. You can also just enter in the color if you know exactly the color you want. I allowed that because some businesses have very specific colors in their own logos and stuff. Like very specific, like an exact color. So you can just type that in here if you want to use something like that. But otherwise, if we want to just change it over, it's like let's do some patriotic, like red and blue here. So then you just come down, you hit submit, it changes it over, so you got your example of what that's going to look like. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We'll just get nice and blue, just like that, maxed out. Submit. This will be a little dark. Usually that's why we had the lighter colors in before, but as you can see, when we come back in on the next song here, it will be changed. Just like that. So yep, just wanted to point that out, how that works quick. I forgot to do in the main video, and back to where the video was. Thanks. Also, you saw the option here of the text outline. Generally, you're going to want to leave this at black. Eventually, I'm going to change I'm going to give people the ability to change the background, that the circular pattern background that's on the secondary screen that everybody sees. I'm going to allow people to change that to whatever they want. I'm working on that right now. And some of the stuff that they may or may not put up there, you're going to want different outlines for the text to make it more obvious. If it's a very bright white background, you're going to want the black outline, which is the default one because it works for most instances. But if it's really dark, you might want to make it pop by switching to the white outline. And again, you'll see what that does here on the example screen here. 1 second. And apparently I didn't do that on the mini one here. Sorry about that. Or it didn't work. Should have worked just fine. So Not sure why you're not seeing it on the demo here, but it would just give the text a white outline instead of a black outline. Matter of fact, I think I didn't do it on this mini screen because it's always a black background. You don't really need the white to make it pop out. It's just obviously you can read this, so it's probably fine up on the big screen there, which I actually can't see right now. But anyway, that should work just fine. Sorry about that. But default is black. You can do whatever you want, and the rest of the stuff, this works the same as it did before. So that is about it. Yeah, you can see everything's working great. You'll see, I'll show you an example of that, how long it can take to load around. Excuse me. Let's clear that out. So now we're checking 300 cards, and then we're going to do a coverall. Then load up this next one. And that took about 6 seconds for it to find the proper stuff, and we have a winner at 59. It's also an indication if you screw up and forget to do like a coverall, this will pop up at like anything around 20, 25 or less, depending on how many cards you have in there. But 300 cards, yeah, it'd be like in the teens. So for a coverall, that's ridiculous. So yep, that's another way to make sure you check this. But again, I always do that before the round because that's taken into consideration when we're checking for the winners. So that is about it. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. Uh, but yeah, everything else should work as it always has. The rest of the stuff is the same, and that's the primary thing I've added. If you don't want to do that, you can just uncheck it, and it will go right back to just randomizing the round and doing its thing. But yeah, obviously be careful with that. And yeah, I mean, you see how much faster the round loads when you're not doing that. So yep, that's it. And enjoy the program. And our company's our venues have been very happy with this. Matter of fact, one of our venues even increased its uh, coverall prize at the end of our shows. We do our last game as a coverall. They actually increased the prize value because we're saving them so much money now because they're not doing multiple bingos. Two or three extra bingos every show. And this particular venue gives out um, you know pretty decent prizes, ranging from $15 to $30, for each winner. So now that we're not having extra winners every night, they're happy to bump that coverall prize. I think it was 25 gift card for $25, and they bumped it up to 50 because they're saving money on that now. So they're very happy to see this, and it also makes it to where if you have a set number of prizes, or you have to tell the venue that how many prizes they need, you can be much more accurate if you do it this way. You maybe always want to have one extra just in case something happens. We just had a show actually today where the first winner didn't see their bingo, and then the next song, the second winner bingoed, and then while we were checking the second winner's card, the first winner that was supposed to win saw the song that they missed, and then they're like, "Oh, I have a bingo too." So that was we ended up giving them both a prize. We weren't too concerned about it. Most of our venues aren't, but a way to prevent that, of course, is this button here. So if somebody does miss that, that also prevents people from cheating. You don't want people to be like, "Oh, I have a bingo, but I'm not going to say anything because I know if somebody else bingos, I can just yell bingo and then we'll both get a prize." So I've never actually thought that that was happening. I've never seen, where I thought that was what was going on. So I've never been too worried about that. But, if people kind of see that you'll give out multiple prizes anyway, they may do that. So just keep that in mind. But that is why we have this, and that forces people to yell, to call their bingo on the song that they're bingoing on. If they don't, then it'll be red when you check it, of course. So that is it, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and enjoy the new program. Thanks a lot.